I think the fascinating team to watch as we move through July here is the Cardinals. What do they do here? They have obvious trade candidates in their rotation: Jordan Montgomery, Jack Flaherty. But did they go the extra mile here and trade a Nolan Arenado or a Paul Goldschmidt or a Tyler O'Neill? I I could see it maybe happening. They have no shot. Arenado, Goldschmidt, they're in the second half of their careers. You know, what are the Cardinals next year? I I can't answer that question. I don't think the rotation's built to win for next season as it stands right now. So is this the time to trade one of those guys?
It's funny. The one rookie who I did get a little bit aggressive with in draft season was Jordan Walker, and I don't want to like slam Jordan Walker, but he's had he's been okay. He was underwhelming enough that he actually gets sent down initially. And not that he was playing all that poorly, and I realize he is a positional change and all that. It's like, why couldn't I have shoved all my chips in on Yoshida or Corbin Carroll or somebody like that? And Jordan Walker
Yep.
was the guy I ended up with taking in single digit rounds in a couple of drafts, and it hasn't really worked out. Although I still think he'll be a good player.
Yeah.
What odds could you have gotten before the season that the Yankees, Mets, Cardinals, and Padres would all miss the playoffs? And right now, the Mets aren't going to make the playoffs. The Cardinals aren't
No.
going to make the playoffs. I think the Yankees are on the outside looking in. And I think even though the Padres lineup, at least the Padres can look at their roster every day and feel good about it. So maybe they can tell themselves a story that they'll catch fire. I think the other three teams, the Mets and Cardinals, no chance. And the Yankees, I don't see the Yankees for that lineup with Judge several weeks away, if at all, a comeback coming. I think those teams are all dead. I agree. The Cardinals, this would be a really interesting time to get proactive. Goldschmidt's in his mid-30s. Arenado, no longer quite one of my favorite defensive players. For a long time, you said to me, who's your favorite defensive player to watch? I'd just say, Nolan Arenado. The metrics aren't as good this year. It shows that he's come off a little bit. I haven't watched enough of Cardinals games to say if that passes the eye test or not. I love watching good third base play. At that Tigers Blue Jays game I was at, Chapman made a couple of great plays. It's just so much fun to watch any defensive player who can pick it. But Chapman and Arenado, I've always gotten a kick out of. I would love to see Goldschmidt get another run with a contender, and his bat would play anywhere, especially with the universal DH. So even if he went to a team that had a first baseman, they could make it fit. Although he's always been a decent defender, he still runs the bases well too. So I'd like to see the Cardinals proactive. The other team that's fascinating to me, another team that I got wrong before the season, I thought the White Sox, I gave everybody a mulligan. In case of Luis Robert, that was the move to go. Or Robert, that was the way to play it. And I guess Lucas Giolito has been okay. Lance Lynn, major tease. You see him on the right day, he looks unhittable, but there's been a lot of wrong days for him. Eloy Jimenez can't stay healthy. I don't know what's wrong with Tim Anderson. There's a team that needs to detonate it. And Giolito, of course, his contract is up. I'll be actually very surprised if Giolito isn't traded. And in a market where there isn't much good pitching to be had, and he's a guy who's young enough, who's still, a number one, number two for a playoff contender, certainly in the top three. But I mean, he's somebody who you can pitch early in a playoff series as one of your horses. I think the day he moves may be the biggest day of the trade deadline for me.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Tony La Russa was the answer there with the White Sox, but clearly it wasn't just La Russa that was the problem. Like, just something is wrong with this mix with the White Sox for sure. And we'll see them start to rebuild this roster at the trade deadline, I'm sure.